ably moved. And in doing so, I would like to say that I would have felt sad, actually, when prior to the arrival of the ministerial list, we were meant to have gone on recess last week. And I thought that it would have been very sad if we didn't have an opportunity to robustly discuss issues about the current economic situation in the country. So I commend a colleague for at least raising this motion, which will inevitably now make it possible for us to share our views in terms of what is going on and provide a solution. There is no doubt, Mr. President and colleagues, that with the reality of the economic situation, the fuel subsidy regime is not sustainable. There's no doubt. And I was one of those who, even in 2011, when the then president, President Jonathan, proposed the cancellation of the subsidy regime, I took time off during my gubernatorial campaigns at the time to come to the House of Reps to speak in support of the need for the subsidy withdrawal at the time. We must commend the president, in my view, for having the courage to do so. And I've mentioned that to the Senate president sometime. So that's what we should do. But a combination of the subsidy withdrawal policy, which is commendable, and then the other economic policies that have been unveiled also by this administration, have resulted in a situation where Nigerians that we represent are going through very harrowing moments, Mr. President. And that's why I feel that this motion is timely, because it will give us an opportunity to let the Nigerian public know that this Senate appreciates what they are going through, and we are in all of this together, and that tough decisions have been taken. But that we also will work with the executive to propose a regime of palliatives that will address the economic situation that has been caused by what has happened. So in lending support to this motion, Mr. President, I will say that the Senate leadership that will interface with the president should do so urgently, and then make it possible for this Senate to have a robust discussion on the contents of the palliative regime. I'm aware that Mr. President has proposed 500 billion as palliatives. But I am of the view that that is not enough. And I believe that's a view that we all share, a lot of us share. But we don't need to leave that for the executive arm alone, Mr. President. Because under our system, the executive, Mr. President, cannot make any expenditures on its own without the National Assembly's approval. So my support will be that when the Senate leadership interfaces with the president, we should have a comprehensive idea about the details of the proposal on palliatives in different sectors, transportation. What happens to those who are in employment? What do we do in terms of the minimum wage? And all of those things. What happens in all states? So that we, Mr. President, you can take the leadership, with the leadership of this Senate, to interface with the president. And also meet with organized labor and other stakeholders. So that we, before even we go on recess, we have a robust discussion on what the contents of this palliative regime should be. But the point should be noted by all Nigerians that we all, individually and collectively, we share in the pains, and that we identify with them. And this motion has given us an opportunity to publicly communicate this sentiment to Nigerians. So I support the fact that the Senate leadership, at the end of this motion, should interface with the president and interface with the organized labor, but beyond that, should communicate a robust and comprehensive package of palliatives, which I crave the indulgence of colleagues so that we go into it before we go on recess, because we never can tell if we leave this matter hanging and we go on recess. Just this morning, somebody sent me a WhatsApp that Osun State, there are demonstrations in some states. I don't want to mention which states. My colleague talked about what happened in Adamawa, and we never know which state is next.